2 years ago?
Hey, what's up, family? Good day.
Yes, it is.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, all right. So, can bodybuilders, vegans, can you gain muscle from eating plants? Yes, you can. Can muscle mass be built from a plant-based diet? Can vegans be bodybuilders? Are there plant-based meals for building muscle? Alrighty. Can muscle mass be built from a vegan diet? Plants, proteins are in the universe together. Basically the same matrix that a bodybuilder would use eating a carnivorous diet. As far as high calories, protein intake, and healthy carbs is the same way a person that is training to be a vegan bodybuilder or a bodybuilder that's having a plant-based lifestyle will eat the same things, except it's from a plant-based source and not from an animal source. Again, I mentioned eating more calories, eating more, leafy vegetables. A lot of them have high calories depending upon exactly what you're eating, but eating more of it. And explore your options. So pretty much you have to, in order to bulk up and maintain a really strong resistance program, you have to eat more, and you have to eat more plant-based options and rest. Can vegans be bodybuilders? This guy is a vegan and he's a bodybuilder. Okay, so if they eat 70% of their protein from high quality whole food sources, okay, you have to balance your micronutrients, your fats, your carbohydrates, and your proteins. So, you just only want to make sure you have healthy protein sources. You want to make sure that you have a variety of vegetable sources, carbohydrate sources, and fat sources. And they can all be plant-based. Eat more calories again. That's something that, that you're going to hear over and over, because sometimes most plant-based consumers don't eat as much. And so a lot of the question becomes, can I gain weight? And so you just have to eat more, just eat more, and you want to have more healthy options. We'll do questions after that. Are you ready? Okay. So eating more frequently, supplements. Additionally, you want to use vitamin D, zinc, and iron. These are the three things that vegans or plant-based people should be considering upon food choices. Having food high in iron, zinc, and vitamin D. Are there plant-based meals for building muscle? Yes. Liquid meals, smoothies, almond milk, rice, protein, banana. That's like an example of a nice liquid meal. You can have pea protein, you can have hemp protein, brown rice protein. Somebody like myself, I like to mix all three of them, have like a nice combination of variety inside of it. Salad meals. Salad meals can be your legumes or your various beans, black beans, steamed kale, bell peppers, and quinoa is a nice little whole meal. You can use cold pressed olive oil on that meal, and that can be a fat. You can add some avocados, that can be additional fat source. That's an example of a holistic plant-based meal. High protein vegan snacks include peanut butter, almond butter, chickpeas, nuts. On your salads, you can have pumpkin seeds are really good. You can have hazelnuts, cashews, almonds. Can you build muscle mass from a plant-based diet? Okay, if you are willing to plan and track your calories, macros, in addition to eating more whole foods regularly. So you can if you're really disciplined in your training and in your eating, because the same requirement comes for those that are training to be professional bodybuilders. They have to make sure that they have a balanced diet, they're more consistent with their training and their consumption and their eating. So the same discipline you would apply, from that, you want to apply the same way. If you eat high quality proteins from vegan sources, you will inspire muscle growth. So eating more, having more protein-based, plant-based options, eating more frequently, you'll start to see the results in conjunction with your training. Okay, also if you're willing to deliberate with your meal planning and you have no trouble gaining quality muscle. So you have to, plan ahead. I would suggest that if you have the time to do so, get into this habit of creating your kitchen, as my mother would call it, a kitchen healing laboratory, you know, a place where you pretty much plan your meals. That way you can kind of be more intuitive of what your body needs. Some things may work for you at certain different times, you know what I'm saying? But the more we can get in tune with our shopping and kitchen, you save more money and you actually have more time invested in the quality of foods that you're consuming. Again, it takes discipline, it takes planning and commitment. And when you start to see professional bodybuilders, most of them are really into meal planning. You know, they appear just to be, you know, big, strong guys or girls, but when you start to study how they are living their lives and the discipline it takes, they're very cognizant of nutrients and proportions, when to eat, timing, and meal prepping. So they take a very in-depth engagement into making sure that they have the quality in their daily life, mainly by their hands, you know, not necessarily by what the fast food industry is dictating for them to eat. All right, so this is me, and this is what I eat, and this is my references, and that was my presentation. Any questions? Thank you. Thank you.
Did you have a question at the end?
I have one question, but I know Eric has like 15.
I have one question,
Go
bro.
ahead, bro.
So the other side about the very lean gentleman that you showed. Are you recording me? Okay. Anyway, but so it's not so much about size. It's mostly just to be kind of having dense muscle and like a healthy working digestive tract.
Mm-hmm.
Just so you could have healthy skin on the outside from what you put in your gut and inside, and just looking kind of lean and healthy, but not necessarily has nothing to do with being big. That's just kind of like for show. Like by big I mean, like if you compare Kai Green to the guy you just put up on the screen.
Okay.
Like that's what I'm trying to explain.
Okay, well, Kai Green eats a lot of calories and he eats a lot of protein.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now I weigh 187.
Okay.
My max weight was 220.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so just 8 more. You know, I train. My training is still moderate to heavyweight. You know, I'm pretty strong. I still lift a lot of the same weight I was lifting when I was 220. But I made a conscious decision to shred now. You know.
Yeah.
And so it was really about the my consumption tempo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And how much I ate. You know, so you can definitely. So you know, I mean, for the first example you had about having lean mass and putting stuff in, you know, having a healthy colon. I think that's universal whether you're big or small. You want to make sure.
Right.
You know, everything you eat should, salad has become liquid in the body and should be passing out. If you're eating 3 times a day and you're only defecating once a day, you're backed up. So you want to try to find a way to make the pipes move accordingly, however that works for you, you know. I was never dogmatic with my view as far as being plant-based and as being born and raised vegan. I mean, I'm from the womb with it. So, but I've always wanted to try to be a bridge to those who are maybe not necessarily vegans or plant-based, to just encourage them to, you know, diversify their consumption, you know what I'm saying, and not say my way is the highway, because some people just, you know, are into meats and stuff like that, so I try to encourage people have quality, you know what I'm saying, whatever, you know, quality water, making sure you have, you know, whole foods in your diet, even if you're not necessarily, your goal is to be vegan, you know, you want to have a healthy colon tract, you know, you want to have a healthy training module. So Kai Green, again, is an example of someone that is an extreme example. No, but they, you know, but again, so I did this specifically because, especially with men, you know, when you talk about plant-based options away from meat options, the first thing they say is, the first thing they talk about size. That's just universal, you know. So I wanted to encourage them that, you know, basically, if you have if you use the same discipline template that a bodybuilder has, and you just use supplement with plant-based foods, and you know, you're eating more, and you're training hard, you know, you can still meet your requirements that your body needs. You know what I'm saying? And depending upon the tempo of how you train and what your ultimate weight goal is, you know, you can rise or fall and, you know, pretty much find your rhythm. So I just really wanted to use that as an example that you don't have to, like, I mean, you saw this, you see me, I don't look nutritionally deficient, because most people have that perception that if you are plant-based, you know, you're lacking, you know, in the space of lack. And I never have been in any lack. I can say from now until I'm 42 years of age, I have no health disparity. You know, so my mom's decision worked. You know what I'm saying? It was hard to navigate as a youth, but ultimately it works. You know what I'm saying? And so my child, she's 13. She continues the legacy, and I think for me, I call myself a wellness warrior. Is just to be a bridge. You know what I'm saying? again, I think that we all have different bodies, we all function a different way, but we can learn from each other in different modalities just to encourage each other along the way. You know, I don't think that, and I think because I was born and raised in it, I have a more of a empathy to those who are not like me. Feel me? Like, and because I had to fight when I was young, just because I was eating a sprout sandwich. You know, 5 or 6 years old. You know what I'm saying? I don't have this thing where you have to be like me mentality. It's more like, hey, you know, if I can encourage you, you know what I'm saying, to have better quality, however you see that quality, then go for it. You know what I'm saying? And you can then you can look at me, somebody like myself, that you've never probably conceived to have my background, and be like, oh, okay, well, I see an example of that. You know what I mean? And we can probably pretty much share and encourage each other along our path, and that's pretty much.
For the last short question, do you feel healthier at 187 than when you did at 2? Now, what I mean by that, like genetically, from DNA predisposition, like just how your body was built up from the ground up when you were born, and now some people just genetically feel healthier, more grounded, and more solid at like this particular weight than when they have to force themselves to this weight to reach a competition, or cut a dramatic amount of weight off them for this wrestling competition than what they walk around as naturally, where their natural weight sits according to their bone density and according to their height with age or other genetic predispositions.
I guess, you know,
that's what I'm trying to say.
It all depends on what your personal goal is. You know, when I was bigger, I was active duty. You know, I was in the military.
So there's a reason though.
Yeah, and I just ate more. I trained it way different.
Yeah.
I had battle buddies that did different types of training, and so I learned different modalities from them, and I just had a different tempo. It was different life I was living at the time. And also, I'm a musician. I'm into music. I'm a performer. So now that I'm doing, when I was in the military, I wasn't doing a lot of my performing and stage stuff. So it was cool. I was cool to gain the weight and kind of be more heavier, you know. Now that I'm hitting the stage and doing a lot of that, it's just my body's different. You know what I'm saying? So now I like to keep the solid mass, but I don't mind cutting down now because I got the way I have to move. You know, in those years, my movement was specifically to my military job. You know what I mean? And so it was. I wanted to be bigger. I wanted that whole vibe. Now I'm back into my performance world. So, you know, I want to find the balance between, you know, the size and the cut, you know. And again, I apply the same holistic disciplines, you know, and like there's sometimes where if I don't eat a solid meal, right, like I said, the hemp protein, the pea protein, the rice protein, like I'll put like 2 scoops of each, and I'll have like at least 32, like maybe a 32 ounce of that, and I have maybe that 3 times a day, maybe 1 solid meal, you know what I mean? So sometimes I'm just having liquid meals, and maybe one nice big solid meal, and I'll do that for some time, you know, and then still training heavy, you know, and find my rhythm in that, you know what I'm saying? So
it just acclimates to that type of.
Yeah, I think my main challenge now, ultimately, coming from active duty back into the civilian sector, is rest. Like that's the main thing, you know. I have the nutrition down, I have the training down, and I'm still learning. I'm not, you know, I don't think I'm a master with it, because I'm learning me as I'm growing, you know. But the rest, I see the benefit, and when I get good rest, I see how it worked with my training, and I see how my nutrition works. Like it's really a trinity, you know. If you just master 2, you're still gonna need something. But I know when I have a nice rest module, and training and eating, the way I look, like to me, I'm really expired. You know what I mean? So I think that's what I'm really, over the next months and years, I'm really trying to get the balance between great rest, training, and nutrition, and that's pretty much where it's at. Good. Oh,
I got one question. It's a little out there because I know like bodybuilders. So obviously you know Mike Rashid. He's a huge vegan converter. You know, are there any studies out there that correlate? Okay, we all know Kai Green didn't get the way Kai Green just by eating meat. We all know he took performance enhancers.
Right.
Even Mike Rashid is, you know, he's admitted to taking performance enhancers.
I mean, you can see it, but yeah.
Yeah. Is there any studies out there that show like, okay, if I'm a vegan, plant-based eater as opposed to a carnivorous, you know, omnivore where I eat both meat and plants,
right?
Which is safer for you to be on compared to, so obviously there's different types of trend, D-ball, anabolic, any anabolics.
Right.
Which would be safer for your ligaments over time? Obviously, like training and volume, you know, take place, but nutritional wise,
do you mean with supplementation?
Yeah, supplement. Do you know which would be?
Yeah, there's 2 things that I think are universal that that I've seen so far, and the research keeps changing, is you know, that right now in the market there are plant-based BCAAs, you know, that you know, if you're a vegan, you should be on that anyway. You know what I mean? In between, you know, your protein meals. Also, a basic test. You know, I mean, when we get to about men, we get about between 35 and 42. We got that window where we have to do a variety of things to keep the testosterone going. So, between like a supplementation of the BCAA, a basic test, not a whole bunch of name brand stuff, a basic thing like that. Also, maca. Maca's a good. Helps with testosterone, also muscle mass. You know, you stack those type of things plus your nutrition and your workout. You're not gonna get the difference is, like I said, if you train moderate to heavy, you gonna, you know, your size up. But what they call the vascularity that you see a microsheet and you see those, that's gonna be high level supplementation, and it's that's what you dream of that, you know what I'm saying? But realistically, I don't see a basic disciplined vegan that's training gonna get that level of vascularity. You'll look pumped, you'll be ripped, you'll look shredded, you know what I mean?
Healthy.
But that level, that's just some supreme awesome. It just looks awesome, you know. What we have to pay for it ultimately, you know, y'all know what it is. But I think there's a balance, you know what I'm saying? I feel battle that where we're going with now the industry is taking more of even overt holistic measures. So you know what I'm saying? So even you see when you read a lot of the blogs with the bodybuilders, even the quality of meats they're eating, you know, it's not the same as it was 15 years ago. Like they're really stepping up the nutrition. Like, you know, even after, what's the brother's name? Force You to Grow. The one took the big homie, CT. You know, even you know after you know he showed about how his diet was as a powerlifter and how he transitioned. He still eats meat, but the type of meat he eats and stay away from the saturated fats and so forth. So you do see the industry stepping it up as far as having more holistic approaches to even, you know, balance between maybe a herbivore and a carnivore diet. Yeah. And so the supplement industry now is starting to find a way to complement. Like, how can we now complement a professional bodybuilder like someone like a Mike Rashid, who's now, you know, went from those extremes to now balancing? How can we kind of complement that demographic? Because they're seeing there's a spike in people that want to kind of be more healthy, you know, Mike Rashidi type of, but necessarily not over, but not really missing their health. So you're going to start seeing more. And I've seen it in GNC and Vitamin Shop. You're going to start seeing more supplementations that try to take more of a herbal approach. That's why maca has blown up and other supplements like similar. You know what I'm saying? So they're out there, and you can definitely gain muscle mass and you can look awesome. The level of vascularity, we'll see what science does over the next couple of years or so. Yeah. Thank y'all. Appreciate it. Thank you.